exaltation to despair. I've been granted a vision into the great mystery, the secret places, the primeval days before the flood. I've journeyed to the edge of the world and made my way back again, exhausted but whole. I've carved my trials on stone tablets, restored the holy Iana temple and the massive wall of Uruk, which no city on earth can equal. See how its ramparts gleam like copper in the sun. Climb the stone staircase, more ancient than the mind can imagine. Approach the Iana temple, sacred to Ishtar, a temple no king has equaled in size or beauty. Walk on the wall of Uruk, follow its course around the city, inspect its mighty foundations, examine the brickwork, how masterfully it is built. Observe the land it encloses, the palm trees, the gardens, the orchards, the glorious palaces and temples, the shops and marketplaces, the houses, the public squares. Find the cornerstone, and under it the copper box that is marked with my name. Unlock it. Open the lid. Take out the tablet of lapis lazuli. Read how I, Gilgamesh, suffered all and accomplished all.
Surpassing all kings, powerful and tall beyond all others.
Violent, splendid, a wild bull of a man, unvanquished leader.
Hero in the front lines, beloved by his soldiers, fortress they called him.
Protector of the people, raging flood that destroys all defenses.
2/3 divine, 1/3 human.
I alone rule, supreme among mankind.
He's king! He does whatever he wants. Takes the son from his father and crushes him. Takes the girl from her mother and uses her.
The warrior's daughter, the young man's bride, he uses her.
No one dares to oppose him. But the people of Uruk cried out to the father of all gods.
Heavenly Father, Gilgamesh, noble as he is, splendid as he is, has exceeded all bounds. The people suffer from his tyranny. The people cry out that he takes the son from his father and crushes him. He takes the girl from her mother and uses her. No one dares to oppose him. Is this how you want your king to rule?
I alone rule, supreme among mankind.
We shall create a double for Gilgamesh, his second self, a man who equals his strength and courage, a man who equals his stormy heart. Create a new hero, let them balance each other perfectly, so that Uruk has peace.
Day, night, day, night, day, night, moon, no moon. They pitched off some clay, threw it into the wilderness, and fashioned a man, a warrior, a hero, Enkidu the Brave. Hair covered his body. Hair grew thick on his head and hung down to his waist, like a woman's hair. He roamed all over the wilderness, naked, far from the cities of men. Ate grass with gazelles, and when he was thirsty, he drank clear water from the water holes, kneeling beside the antelope and deer. Day, night, day, night, day, night, moon, no moon. One day a human, a trapper, saw him drinking with the animals at a water hole. The trapper's heart pounded. His face went white, his legs trembled, he was numb with terror. He went to his father.
Father, I have seen a savage man at the water hole. I have seen him outrun even the swiftest of animals. He lives among them. He fills in the pits I have dug, he tears out the traps I have set, he frees the animals, and I can catch nothing. My livelihood is gone.
Son, in Uruk there is a man named Gilgamesh. He's the king of that city and the strongest man in the world, they say, with muscles like rock. Go now to Uruk. Go to Gilgamesh, tell him what you saw, then follow his advice. He'll know what to do.
Go to the temple of Ishtar. Ask there for a woman named Shamhat, one of the priestesses who give their bodies to any man in honor of the goddess. Take her into the wilderness. Tell her to strip off her robe and to lie there naked, ready, with her legs apart. The wild man will approach. Let her use her love arts. Nature will take its course, and then the animals who knew him in the wilderness will be bewildered and will leave him forever.
The trapper found me, Shamhat. And we went off into the wilderness. On the third day, we reached the waterhole. For 2 days, we sat while the animals came to drink clear water. Early in the morning of the third day, Enkidu came and knelt beside the antelope and deer. Wow, the man was huge and beautiful. Deep in my loins, desire stirred. I lay there naked with my legs apart, touching myself. Enkidu saw me. He sniffed the air. He gazed at my body. He drew close. I touched him on the thigh. I touched his penis and put him inside me. I took his breath with my kisses, held nothing back, and showed him what a woman is. For 7 days, he stayed erect. Till he'd had enough. He walked back towards the water hole, but the gazelle saw him and scattered. The antelope and deer bounded away. He tried to catch up, but his body was exhausted. His life force was spent. His knees shook. He could no longer run like an animal as he had before. He turned back to me, and he knew that his mind had somehow grown larger.
I know things now that an animal can't know.
Enkidu, now you know what it is to be with a woman, to unite with her. Ooh, you're beautiful like a god.
Yes.
Why should you roam the wilderness and live like an animal?
Why?
Come on, let's go to Uruk. I will lead you to Gilgamesh, the mighty king.
I will challenge him. I will shout to his face, I am the mightiest. I am the man who can make the world tremble. I am supreme.
You will see the great city with its massive wall. You'll see the young men dressed in their splendor, in the finest linen and embroidered wool, brilliantly colored, with fringe shawls.
Shawls?
Yeah, and wide belts.
Belts?
Mm-hmm. Every day is a festival in Uruk, with the people singing and dancing in the streets, the musicians playing their drums and lyres, the lovely young priestesses standing before the temple of Ishtar, all of us chatting and laughing, flushed with sexual joy, ready to serve men's pleasure in honor of our goddess, so that even old men are roused from their beds. You will see Gilgamesh, the mighty king, the hero destined for both joy and grief. You will stand before him and gaze with wonder. You'll see how handsome and virile he is, how his body pulses with erotic power. He's even taller and stronger than you, so full of life force that he needs no sleep. Even before you came down from the hills, you had come to Gilgamesh in a dream.
I saw a bright star. It shot across the morning sky. It landed at my feet and lay before me like a huge boulder. I tried to lift it, but it was too heavy. I tried to move it, but it would not budge. A crowd of people gathered around me. The people of Uruk pressed in close to see it. Like a little baby, they kissed its feet. This boulder, this star that had fallen to earth, I took it in my arms. I embraced and caressed it the way a man caresses his wife. I told my mother about the dream.
Dearest child, this bright star from heaven, this huge boulder that you could not lift, it stands for a dear friend, a mighty hero. You will take him in your arms, embrace and caress him the way a man caresses his wife. He will be your double, your second self, a man who is loyal, who will stand beside you through the greatest dangers. Soon you will meet him, this companion of your heart. Your dream has said so.
May the dream come true. May the true friend appear, the true companion who through every danger will stand at my side.
Day, night, day, night, day, night, moon, 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 no moon. I took Enkidu to some shepherd's huts, and the shepherds crowded around him.
They led me to their table. They put beer and bread in front of me.
Go ahead, Enkidu. This is food. We humans eat and drink this.
I eat a piece of the bread. Then I eat another. Then I eat a whole loaf. Then I drink a beer. I drink 7 pitchers of beer.
I cut his hair. I washed him. I rubbed sweet-smelling oil onto his skin, and he became fully human. He was as handsome as a young god.
Yeah.
When the shepherds lay down, Enkidu went out with sword and spear. He chased off lions and wolves.
And tigers.
All night he guarded the flocks. He stayed awake and guarded them while the shepherds slept. One day, Enkidu saw a young man hurrying by. Day, night, day, night, moon, 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 no moon.
Where are you going in such a rush?
I'm on my way to a wedding banquet. I've piled the table high with exquisite food for the ceremony.
Ceremony?
Yes. The priest will bless the young couple, the guests will rejoice, the bridegroom will withdraw, and the virgin will wait in the marriage bed for Gilgamesh.
Gilgamesh!
Yes. It is he who mates first with the lawful wife. After he's done, then the bridegroom follows. This is the order that the gods have decreed. Since the king's birth cord was cut, every girl's hymen has belonged to him.
Hymen?
Yes.
I will go to Uruk, to the palace of Gilgamesh, the mighty king. I will challenge him. I will shout to his face, I am the mightiest. I am the man who can make the world tremble. I am supreme.
Enkidu and I went to Great Walled Uruk. When we walked into the main street of Uruk, the people gathered around him, marveling. The crowds kept pressing closer to see him. Like a little baby, they kissed his feet. They said, oh, what an enormous man. How much like Gilgamesh? Well, not quite so tall, but stronger boned. Hey, did you hear he grew up in the wilderness eating grass with gazelles? He was suckled on the milk of antelope and deer. And I said, Gilgamesh has truly met his match. This wild man can rival the mightiest of kings. The wedding ritual had taken place. The musicians were playing their drums and lyres. The guests were eating, singing, and laughing. The bride was ready for Gilgamesh. She was waiting in her bed to open to the king, to forget her husband and open to him. But when Gilgamesh arrived at the marriage house, Enkidu was there.
You are unique among humans. The gods have chosen. They have chosen well.
Day, night, moon, 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 no moon.
We must travel now to the cedar forest, where the fierce monster Humbaba lives. We must kill him and drive out evil from the world. Why, dear friend, do you sigh? Why do tears fill your eyes?
Dear friend, I knew that country when I roamed the hills with the antelope and deer. The forest is endless. What man would dare to penetrate its depths?
Even if the forest goes on forever, I have to enter it, climb its slopes, cut down a tree that is tall enough to make a whirlwind as it falls to earth.
But how can any man dare to enter the cedar forest? It is sacred to the gods. Haven't they put the monster Humbaba there to terrify men? His voice booms like thunder. His jaws are death. He will hear us 100 miles away. Who among men or gods could defeat him? Humbaba is the forest guardian. Whoever enters will be struck down by fear.
Why, dear friend, do you speak like a coward? We are mortal men. Only the gods live forever. Our days are few in number, and whatever we achieve is a puff of wind. Why be afraid then, since sooner or later death must come? Where is the courage you have always had? If I die in the forest on this great adventure, won't you be ashamed when people say, Gilgamesh met a hero's death, battling the monster Humbaba. Where was Enkidu? He was safe at home. You were raised in the mountains. With your own hands you have killed marauding lions and wolves.
And tigers.
You are brave. Your heart has been tested in combat. But whether you come along or not, I will cut down the tree. I will kill Humbaba. I will make a lasting name for myself. I will stamp my fame on men's minds forever. I must travel now to the cedar forest where the fierce monster Humbaba lives.
He has a roar like a thunderclap.
I will conquer him in the cedar forest.
His jaws are death.
The whole world will know how mighty I am.
His voice booms like thunder.
I will make a lasting name for myself. I will stamp my fame on men's minds forever. We will walk a road no man has traveled. I will face a combat no man has known.
Gilgamesh, please. You are our king. Do not leave, sire. You are young, sire. Your heart beats high and runs away with you.
Enkidu, let us go to the forge. Let us order the smiths to make us weapons that only the mightiest heroes can use. Are you ready to leave? Or are you still afraid of dying a hero's death?
Since you must do this, I must go with you. Therefore, let us leave. Let our hearts be fearless. I will go first, since I know the way to the cedar forest, where Humbaba lives.
At 400 miles, they stopped to eat. At 1,000 miles, they pitched their camp. They had traveled for just 3 days and nights, a 6 weeks' journey for ordinary men. When the sun was setting, they dug a well. They filled their water skins right to the top. Gilgamesh climbed the mountain and poured out flour as an offering.
Mountain, bring me a favorable dream.
Enkidu did the ritual for dreams, praying for a sign. A gust of wind passed. Enkidu built a shelter for the night, placed Gilgamesh inside it, spread a magic circle of flour around him, then sprawled like a net across the doorway. Gilgamesh sat with his chin on his knees, and sleep overcame him as it does all men.
What happened? Did you touch me? Did a god pass by? What makes my skin creep? Why am I cold? Enkidu, dear friend, I have had a dream. A horrible dream. We were walking in a gorge. I looked up and a huge mountain loomed. So huge we were as small as flies. Then the mountain fell down onto us. Enkidu, dear friend, what does this mean?
Don't worry, my friend. The dream you had is a favorable one. The mountain stands for Humbaba. He will fall, just like that mountain. Lord Shamash will grant us victory. We will kill the monster and leave his corpse on the battlefield.
Yeah. At 400 miles, they stopped to eat. At 1,000 miles, they pitched their camp. They traveled for just 3 days and nights, a 6 weeks' journey for ordinary men. When the sun was setting, they dug a well, they filled their water skins. Gilgamesh sat with his chin on his knees, and sleep overcame him, as it does all men.
What happened? Did you touch me? Did a god pass by? What makes my skin creep? Why am I cold? Enkidu, dear friend, I have had a dream more horrible than the first. I looked up and a huge mountain loomed. It threw me down, it pinned me by the feet. A terrifying brightness hurt my eyes. Beside me I saw a young man. He was glowing and handsome. He lifted me from under the mountain. He gave me fresh water. My heart grew calm. Dear friend, tell me, what does this mean?
Don't worry, my friend. The dream you had is a favorable one. Again, the mountain stands for Humbaba. He threw you down, but he could not kill you. As for that handsome young man who appeared, he stands for Lord Shamash, who will rescue you and grant you everything you desire.
At 400 miles, they stopped to eat. At 1,000 miles, they pitched their camp. They dug a well. They filled their water skins. Gilgamesh sat with his chin on his knees, and sleep overcame him as it does all men.
Enkidu, dear friend, I have had a dream more horrible than both the others. The heavens roared, the earth heaved, then darkness, silence. Lightning flashed, igniting the trees. By the time the fire burned down, the ground was covered with ash. Dear friend, tell me, what does this mean?
Don't worry, my friend. The dream you had is a favorable one. The fiery heavens stand for Humbaba, who tried to kill you with lightning and flames, but in spite of the fire, he could not harm you. We will kill Humbaba. Success is ours. However he attacks us, we will prevail.
400 miles. They stopped to eat. At 1,000 miles, they pitched their camp.
I saw a fierce eagle with a lion's head. It floated down toward me like a huge cloud. It grimaced. Terrifying flames shot from its mouth. Then beside me, I saw a young man with an unearthly glow. He seized the creature and broke its wings. He wrung its neck and threw it to the ground. Dear friend, tell me, what does this mean?
Don't worry, my friend. The dream you had is a favorable one. The eagle that you saw with the lion's head stands for Humbaba. Though it dived toward you, and terrifying flames shot from its mouth, nothing could cause you harm. The young man who came to your rescue was our Lord Shamash, who will stand beside us when the monster attacks. Whatever happens, we will prevail.
At 400,
I was wrestling with a gigantic bull.
they stopped.
Its bellow shattered the earth and raised clouds of dust that darkened the sky. It pinned me down, it crushed me. I felt its breath on my face. Then a man lifted me up. He put his arms around me. He gave me fresh water from his water skin. Dear friend, tell me, what does this mean?
Don't worry, my friend. The dream you had is a favorable one. The gigantic bull is no enemy of ours. He stands for the very God who has helped us. Bright Shamash, our protector, Lord of the skies, who in every danger will come to our aid. The young man who pulled you up from the ground and gave you fresh water from his water skin is your personal God. With his help, we will achieve a triumph greater than any man has achieved.
Hurry! Attack him now, while the time is right. Before he can enter the depths of the forest. Before he can hide himself there and wrap himself in his 7 auras with their paralyzing glare. He is wearing just one now. Hurry, attack him now!
Oh, great Shamash, protect me on this dangerous journey. Remember me, help me, hear my prayer.
They had reached the edge of the cedar forest. They heard Humbaba's terrifying roar.
on. You go into the dreadful forest. You kill Humbaba and win the fame. I will return now to Great Wall Rook. And all men will know what a coward I have been.
Dear friend, dear brother, I cannot kill Humbaba alone. Help me. Stand at my side.
Yeah.
2 boats that are lashed together will never sink. A 3-ply rope is not easily broken. If we help each other and fight side by side, what harm will come to us? Let us go on and attack the monster. We've come so far. Whatever you are feeling, let us go on.
You have never met him, so you don't know the horror that lurks ahead. But when I saw him, my blood ran cold. His teeth are knife sharp, they stick out like tusks. His face, blood smeared. His a lion's face. He charges ahead like a raging torrent. Who can withstand him? I'm frightened, I cannot go on.
Dear brother, this is no time to give in to fear. You were raised in the mountains with your own hands. You have killed marauding lions and wolves.
And tigers.
Your heart has been tested in combat. Shout out your battle cry. Let your voice sound like a kettle drum. Let your heart inspire you to be joyous and forget about death. If we help each other and fight side by side, we will make a lasting name for ourselves. We will stamp our fame on men's minds forever.
Young man, you will never go home. Prepare to die.
Dear friend, 2 boats lashed together will never sink. A 3-ply rope is not easily broken. If we help each other and fight side by side, what harm can come to us? Now, let us go on.
Gilgamesh, I know you. Don't be a fool. Go away. Leave the cedar forest. Have madmen told you to confront me here? I will tear you limb from limb. I will crush you and leave you bloodied and mangled on the ground. And you, Enkidu, you son of a fish, or a turtle, you fatherless, gutless spawn who never suckled on mother's milk. I saw you in the pastures when you were young. I saw you graze with the wandering herd, but I didn't kill you. You were too scrawny, you wouldn't make a decent meal. And now you dare to lead Gilgamesh here. You both stand before me like a pair of frightened girls. I will slit your throats. I will cut off your heads and feed your stinking guts to the shrieking vultures and crows.
How dreadful Humbaba's face has become. It is turning into 1,000 nightmare faces more horrible than I can bear. I feel haunted. I cannot go on.
What you have just said is unworthy of you. We must not hesitate or retreat. 2 intimate friends cannot be defeated. Be courageous. Remember how strong you are. I will stand beside you. Now, let us attack.
Gilgamesh, have mercy. Let me live here in the cedar forest. If you spare me, I will be your slave. I will give you as many cedars as you wish. You are king of Uruk. By the grace of Shamash, honor him with a cedar temple and a glorious cedar palace for yourself. All this is yours, if only you will spare me.
Gilgamesh, dear friend, don't listen to anything that the monster says. Kill him quickly before you become confused.
Then immortal Enkidu knows the rules of my forest. It is you. You know that this is my place, and that I am the forest guardian. The gods put me here to terrify men, and I guard the forest as they ordain. If you kill me, you will bring down the wrath of the gods, and their judgment will be severe. I could have killed you at the forest edge. I could have hung you from a cedar and fed your guts to the shrieking vultures and crows. Now it is your turn to show me mercy. Speak to him. Beg him to spare me.
Gilgamesh! Quickly! Kill Humbaba! Don't listen to a word. Don't hesitate. Slaughter him, slit his throat before the great gods can get enraged. Establish your fame so that forever men will speak of brave Gilgamesh who killed Humbaba in the cedar forest.
I curse you both. If you do this, may Enkidu die. May he die in great pain. May Gilgamesh be inconsolable. May his merciless heart be crushed with grief.
Courage, dear friend. Close your ears to Humbaba's curses. Don't listen to a word. Slaughter him now.
Ow!
A gentle rain fell onto the mountains. A gentle rain fell onto the mountains. By your great strength, we have killed Humbaba, watchman of the cedar forest. What could bring you dishonor now? We have brought to earth the tallest of the trees. We have chopped down the cedar forest, the cedar whose top once pierced the sky. We will make it into a gigantic door, 100 feet high, 130 feet wide. We will float it down the Euphrates to the god's temple in Nippur. No man shall go through it, but only the gods. May the gods delight in it. May it be a joy to the people of Nippur.
When Gilgamesh returned to Uruk, he took off his filthy, blood-spattered clothes. He bathed. He washed his matted hair and shook it over his back. He put on a tunic of the finest linen, wrapped himself in a glorious gold-trimmed purple robe, fastened it with a wide-fringed belt, then put on his crown. the goddess Ishtar caught sight of him. Oh, what a splendid man. My heart is smitten, my loins are on fire. Come here, Gilgamesh. Marry me. Give me your luscious fruits. Be my husband. Be my sweet man. I will give you abundance beyond your dreams. Marble and alabaster, ivory and jade, gorgeous servants with blue-green eyes, a chariot made of lapis lazuli with gold wheels and guide horns of amber pulled by storm demons like giant mules. High priests will bow down and kiss your feet. Kings and princes will kneel before you. And I will bless everything that you own. Your goats will bear triplets. Your ewes will twin. Your donkeys will be faster than any mule. Your chariot horses will win every race. And your oxen will be the envy of the world. Come here! Be my sweet man!
Your price is too high. Such riches are far beyond my means. Tell me, how could I ever repay you? Even if I gave you jewels, perfume, and rich robes. And what would happen to me when your heart turns elsewhere and your lust burns out? Why would I want to be the lover of a broken oven that fails in the cold? A flimsy door that the wind blows through. A mouse that gnaws its thin reed shelter. A water skin that is full of holes. A shoe that mangles its owner's foot. Which of your husbands did you love forever? Which could satisfy your endless desires? Let me remind you of how each of them suffered, how each one came to a bitter end. Do you remember what happened to that beautiful boy, Tammuz? You loved him when you were both young.
We were 8.
Then you changed. You sent him to the underworld and doomed him to be wailed for year after year. You loved the bright speckled roller bird, and then you changed. You attacked him and broke his wings, and now he sits in the woods crying, "Awee, awee." You loved the lion, and then you changed. You dug 7 pits for him, and when he fell in, you left him there to die. You loved the hot-blooded, war-bold stallion, and then you changed. You doomed him to whip and spurs, to endlessly gallop with a bit in his mouth, to muddy his own water when he drinks from a pool. You loved the shepherd, master of the flocks, who every day would bake bread for you and bring you a fresh slaughtered roasted lamb. Then you changed.
I gained 10 pounds.
You touched him, and he became a wolf, and now his own shepherd boys drive him away, and his own dogs snap at his hairy thighs. You loved the gardener, Ishulanu, who each day would bring baskets of fresh-picked dates to brighten your table. You lusted for him. You drew close and said, "Sweet Ishulanu, let me suck your rod. You may kiss my vagina, caress my jewel." And he frowned and said, "Why should I eat this rotten meal of yours? What do you have to offer me but the bread of dishonor and the beer of shame? And cold reeds when the thin winds blow." But you kept up your sweet talk, and at last he gave in. And then you changed. You turned him into a toad and doomed him to live in his own devastated garden. And why would my fate be any different? If I too became your lover, you would treat me as cruelly as you treated all of them.
Daddy, Gilgamesh slandered me. He said horrible insults towards me and awful, unforgivable things. Dad, can I have the bowl of heaven? Just for a little while. I want to bring it to the earth. I wanted to kill that liar, Gilgamesh, and destroy his palace. If you say no, then I will smash the gates of the underworld, and 1,000,000 famished ghouls will ascend to devour the living, and the living will be outnumbered by the dead.
The bull entered. It bellowed. The whole land shook. The bull snorted. The earth cracked open, and 100 warriors fell in and died. The bull snorted again. The earth cracked open, and 200 warriors fell in and died. When it snorted a third time, the earth cracked open, and I fell in. Up to my waist.
Grab the bull by the horns.
It spat its slobber into my face. It lifted its tail and spewed its dung all over me.
Dear friend, keep fighting. Together, we're sure to win. Circle around behind the bull. Seize it by the tail. Set your foot against its haunch, while I, skillfully, like a butcher, stride forward and thrust my blade between its shoulders at the base of its horns. Like this.
Not only has Gilgamesh slandered me, now he's killed his own punishment, the bull of heaven.
If only I could catch you, Ishtar. This is what I would do to you. I would rip you apart, and I would drape the bull's guts over your arms.
Tell me, who is the handsomest of men? Tell me, who's the bravest of heroes? Gilgamesh! He is the handsomest of men. Enkidu! He is the bravest of heroes.
Beloved brother, last night I had a terrifying dream. I dreamed that we had offended the gods. They met in council and said, Gilgamesh and Enkidu have slaughtered the bull of heaven and killed Humbaba, watchman of the cedar forest. Therefore, one of the two must die. They said, Enkidu, not Gilgamesh, is the one who must die. Dear friend, dear brother, they're taking me from you. I will not return. I will sit with the dead in the underworld. But never will I see my dear brother again.
Dear friend, you have been a reasonable man, but now you are talking nonsense. How do you know this dream is not a favorable one? Fear has set your lips buzzing like flies.
The heavens thundered, the earth replied, and I was standing on a shadowy plain. A creature appeared with a lion's head. Its face was ghastly. It had the head of a lion and an eagle's wings and talons. It flew at me. I tried to struggle. It seized me by the hair. With one blow, it capsized me like a raft. Like a bull, it leaped on my bones. Gilgamesh, save me. Save me. But you didn't save me. You were afraid and didn't come. The creature touched me again, and suddenly feathers covered my arms. It bound them behind me and forced me down to the underworld, the house of darkness, the home of the dead, where all who enter never return to the sweet earth again. Those that dwell there squat in the darkness, Dirt is their food, their drink is clay. They are covered in feathered garments like birds. They never see light, and on door and bolt the dust lies thick. I entered that house, and all around me were piles of crowns. I saw proud kings who had ruled the land, who had set out roast meat before the gods and offered cool water and cakes for the dead. I saw high priests and acolytes squatting, exorcists and prophets, the ecstatic and the dull. I saw the primeval king. I saw the wild animals' god. I saw the somber queen of the underworld. When she saw me, she glared at me and said, "Who has brought this new resident here?"
Although it sounds bad, this dream may be a good omen. The gods send dreams only to the healthy, never to the weak. Therefore, it is a healthy man who has dreamed this. Now, I will pray to the great gods for help. I will beg them to show you mercy. Then I will have a gold statue made in your image. Don't worry, dear friend. You will soon feel better. This votive image will restore you to health.
There is no gold statue that can cure this illness, dear friend. What has been decided cannot be changed. My fate is settled. There's nothing you can do. I turn to you, Lord, since suddenly fate has abandoned me. As for that wretched trapper who found me when I was free in the wilderness, since he destroyed my life, destroy his livelihood. May he go home empty. May no animals ever enter his traps, or if they do, may they vanish like mist, and may he starve for bringing me here. Shamhat. May all this be your reward for seducing me in the wilderness. I assign you an eternal fate. I curse you with the ultimate curse. May it seize you instantly as it leaves my mouth. Never may you have a home and family. Never caress a child of your own. May your man prefer younger, prettier girls. May he beat you as a housewife beats her rug. May your roof keep leaking and no carpenter fix it. May wild dogs camp in your bedroom. May owls nest in your attic. May drunkards vomit all over you. May a tavern wall be your place of business. May young men jeer at you as you walk the street. May all this be your reward for seducing me in the wilderness when I was strong and innocent and free.
Enkidu, why are you cursing the priestess Shamhat? Wasn't it she who gave you fine bread fit for a god and fine beer fit for a king?
Yes.
Who clothed you in a glorious robe and gave you splendid Gilgamesh as your intimate friend?
Yes.
He will lay you down on a bed of honor. He will put you on a royal bier. On his left, he will place your statue in the seat of repose. The princes of the earth will kiss its feet. The people of Uruk will mourn you. And when you are gone, Gilgamesh will roam the wilderness with matted hair in a lion's skin.
Shamhat, forgive me. My mouth that cursed you will bless you now. May you be adored by nobles and princes. You who have walked beside me, steadfast through so many dangers. Remember me. Never forget what I have endured. Have you abandoned me now? Dear friend, I cannot see you. You have not come to fight off this danger. And yet, weren't we to remain forever inseparable? You and I?
Beloved. Wait. Don't leave me. Dearest of men, don't die. Don't let them take you from me. Enkidu! My brother! You came to Uruk from the wilderness. Your mother was a gazelle, your father was a wild ass. You were raised on the milk of antelope and deer, and the wandering herds taught you where the best pastures were. May the paths that led you to the cedar forest mourn you constantly. May the elders of Uruk mourn you, who gave us their blessing when we departed. May the hills mourn you in the mountains we climbed. May the pastures mourn you as their own son. May the forest we slashed in our fury mourn you. May the bear mourn you, the hyena, the panther, the leopard. May the rivers of Uruk mourn you. May the young men of Uruk mourn you. The farmer, the shepherd, the brewer. May Ishtar's priestess mourn you. My beloved friend is dead! He's dead! My beloved brother is dead! I will mourn as long as I breathe. I will sob like a woman who has lost her only child. Enkidu! You are the axe at my side, the knife in my sheath, the shield that I carry, my glorious robes, the white belt around my loins, and now a harsh fate has dragged you from me forever! Oh, Enkidu! Together we climbed the high mountains. Together we slaughtered the bull of heaven. We killed Humbaba in the cedar forest. Enkidu! What is this sleep that has seized you? That has darkened your face and stopped your breath? Blacksmiths, goldsmiths, workers in silver, metal, and gems, create a statue of Enkidu, my brother. Make it the most splendid statue that has ever been made. Cover his beard in lapis lazuli, his chest in gold. Let obsidian and all other beautiful stones, 1,000 jewels of every color be piled with silver and gold and sent on a barge down the Euphrates to Great Walled Uruk for Enkidu's statue. I will lie him down on a bed of honor. I will put him on royal bier. On my left, I will place a statue in the seat of repose. The princes of the world will kiss its feet. The people of Uruk will mourn him. O gods, welcome my brother. Walk at his side in the underworld, so that Enkidu may not be sick at heart. Must I die too? Must I be as lifeless as Enkidu? What is this sorrow that gnaws at my belly, this fear of death that constantly drives me on? I will roam the wilderness with matted hair and a lion's skin. I will find my ancestor, Utnapishtim, the one man whom the gods made immortal. I will ask him how he managed to overcome death.
Day, night, day, night, day, night. Moon, 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 no moon. They had reached the two high mountains called the Twin Peaks. Their summits touch the vault of heaven, their bases reach down to the underworld. They keep watch over the sun's departure and its return. Two scorpion people were posted at the entrance, guarding the tunnel into which the sun plunges when it sets and moves through the earth to emerge above the horizon at dawn. The very sight of these two inspired such terror that it could kill an ordinary man. Their auras shimmered all over the mountain. When Gilgamesh saw them, he was pierced with dread, but he steadied himself and moved towards them.
This one who approaches, he must be a god.
He is 2/3 divine, 1/3 human.
What is your name? How have you dared to come here? Why have you traveled so far? Over seas and mountains difficult to cross, through wastelands and deserts no mortal has ever entered. Tell me the goal of your journey. I want to know.
Gilgamesh is my name. I am the king of Great Waldoruk, and I have come here in search of my ancestor, Utnapishtim, who joined the assembly of the gods and was granted eternal life. He is my last hope. I want to ask him how he overcame death.
No one is able to cross the Twin Peaks, nor has anyone ever entered the tunnel into which the sun plunges when it sets and moves through the earth. Inside the tunnel, there is total darkness. Deep is the darkness, with no light at all.
This brave man, driven by despair, his body exhausted, burnt by the desert sun, frost-chilled, show him the way to Utnapishtim.
Ever downward, through the deep darkness, the tunnel leads. All will be pitch black before and behind you. All will be pitch black to either side.
You must run through the tunnel faster than the wind. You have just 12 hours. If you do not emerge from the tunnel before the sun sets and enters it, you will find no refuge from its deadly fire.
Penetrate into the mountain's depths. May the Twin Peaks lead you safely to your goal. May they take you safely to the other side of the world.
The gate to the tunnel lies before you.
Go in peace and return in peace.
As the sun was rising, Gilgamesh entered the tunnel. He began to run. For 1 hour, Gilgamesh ran. Deep was the darkness, with no light at all before and behind him and to either side. For a second and third hour, Gilgamesh ran. For a fourth and fifth hour, Gilgamesh ran. For a sixth and seventh hour, Gilgamesh ran. At the 8th hour, he cried out in fear. At the 9th hour, Gilgamesh felt a breeze on his face. For a 10th and 11th hour, he ran. Deep was the darkness, with no light at all before and behind him and to either side. At the 12th hour, Gilgamesh emerged from the tunnel into the light. The sun was hurtling towards the entrance. He had barely escaped. Before him, the garden of the gods appeared, with gem trees of all colors, dazzling to see.
There were trees that grew rubies, trees with lapis lazuli flowers, trees that dangled coral clusters like dates.
Everywhere, sparkling on all the branches, were enormous jewels, emeralds and sapphires, diamonds, carnelians, pearls, hematite. Gilgamesh looked up and marveled at it all.
Wow.
At long last, Gilgamesh came to the edge of the ocean, where the tavern keeper Shiduri caught sight of him.
This desperate man must be a murderer. Why else would he be heading straight towards me? I'm gonna lock my door and climb to my roof.
Why did you lock yourself in? I want to enter now. If you don't let me, I will smash your locks and break down your door.
Well, you look so wild. Tell me your name now and where you're going.
Gilgamesh is my name. I am the king of Great Wall Uruk. I am the man who triumphed over the bull of heaven. I am the man who killed Humbaba in the cedar forest.
Why are your cheeks so hollow? Why are your features so ravaged? Why is your face frost-chilled and burnt by the desert sun? Why is there so much grief in your heart? Why are you so worn out and ready to collapse like someone who's been on a long, hard journey?
Shouldn't my cheeks be hollow? Shouldn't my face be ravaged, frost-chilled, burnt by the desert sun? Shouldn't my heart be filled with grief? Shouldn't I be worn out and ready to collapse? My friend, my brother, whom I loved so dearly, who accompanied me through every danger. The fate of mankind has overwhelmed him. For 6 days, I would not let him be buried, thinking if my grief was violent enough, perhaps he will come back to life again. For 6 days and 7 nights, I mourned until a maggot fell out of his nose. And then I was afraid. I was terrified by death, and I set out to roam the wilderness. I cannot bear what happened to Enkidu, so I roamed the wilderness in my grief. How can my mind have any rest? My beloved friend has turned into clay, and won't I too lie down in the dirt like him and never arise again?
But Gilgamesh, where are you roaming? You'll never find the eternal life that you seek. When the gods created mankind, they also created death, and they held back eternal life for themselves alone. Humans are born, they live, and then they die. That's the order that the gods have decreed. But until the end comes, enjoy your life. Spend it in happiness, not despair. Savor your food. Make each day a delight. Bathe, anoint yourself. Wear bright clothes that are sparkling clean. Let music and dancing fill your house. Love the child who holds you by the hand, and give your wife pleasure in your embrace. That's the best way for a man to live.
What are you talking about, tavern keeper? My heart is sick for my friend who died. What can your words mean to me? My heart is sick for Enkidu who died. Show me the way to Utnapishtim. I will cross the vast ocean if I must.
The crossing is harsh and the danger is great, and midway lie the waters of death, whose touch kills instantly. Even if you manage to sail that great distance, what are you going to do when you reach the waters of death, huh? Okay, there is one man who can help you. Utnapishtim's boatman. He's trimming pine branches down in the forest, and he's got the stone men who crew his boat with him. Go to him. Ask him nice. If he says yes, you can cross the vast ocean. But if he says no, you'll have to turn back.
At these words, Gilgamesh fell upon the stone men and smashed them to pieces. He threw them into the sea. They sank in the water.
Gilgamesh is my name. I am the king of Great Wall Uruk, and I have traveled here across the high mountains. I have traveled here on the hidden road through the underworld where the sun comes forth. Show me the way to Utnapishtim.
Your own hands have prevented the crossing, since in your fury you've smashed the stone men who crewed my boat and could not be injured by the waters of death. But do not despair. There is one more way you can cross the vast oceans. Take your axe. Go into the forest, cut down 300 punting poles, each 100 feet long. Strip them, make grips, and bring them to me. I'll wait for you here.
Gilgamesh cut down 300 punting poles and brought them to the boatman. They boarded the boat. They sailed without stopping for 3 days and nights, a 6 weeks' journey for ordinary men, until they reached the waters of death. Gilgamesh took up the first pole. He pushed them forward, careful not to touch the waters of death. When he reached the end of the first pole, he dropped it. He took up a second and a third pole until he had reached the end of the 300th pole, and the waters of death were well behind him. He swam to the beach and walked along the shore. He saw an old man and an old woman.
Where can I find Utnapishtim, who joined the assembly of the gods and was granted eternal life?
Why are your cheeks so hollow? Why is your heart so filled with grief? Why are you worn out and ready to collapse like someone who has been on a long, hard journey?
Shouldn't my cheeks be hollow? Shouldn't my heart be filled with grief? Shouldn't I be worn out and ready to collapse? My friend, my brother, whom I loved so dearly, who accompanied me through every danger, the fate of mankind has overwhelmed him. I cannot bear what happened to Enkidu, my beloved friend, turned into clay. And won't I too lie down in the dirt like him and never arise again? That is why I must find Utnapishtim. I must ask him how he managed to overcome death. Let the gate of sorrow be closed behind me. Let it be sealed shut with tar and pitch. I must find Utnapishtim. I must ask him how he overcame death.
He stands before you. Ask your question.
I imagined that you would look like a god, but you are like me. You are not any different. I had intended to fight you, but now that you stand before me, now that I see who you are, I cannot fight. Something's holding me back. Tell me, how is it you and your wife, mere mortals, joined the assembly of the gods and were granted eternal life?
I will tell you a secret. A mystery of the gods.
I am curious to know, but first I must learn how I can become immortal.
No. First, I will tell you my mystery. My secret of the gods.
Our mystery, our secret of the gods. It wasn't really even a secret, more of a plan of the gods.
I'm
really.
filthy, exhausted, heartsick. How can I overcome death?
You know Shurapak, that ancient city on the Euphrates. Well, I was its king once, a long time ago.
How can I live forever?
If you can stay awake while I regale you with my saga, then you shall live forever.
I will stay awake. Regale me with your saga.
Go ahead, dear, regale him.
When I was king of my city, the great gods decided to send the flood. This flood was a secret to be kept from the people.
A plan.
But a plan. The great gods took an oath to keep the plan a secret. But I overheard one of the gods whisper to the reed fence around my house. He said, reed fence.
Tell Utnapishtim to build a great ship and save his life.
And then gather and take aboard examples of every living creature.
Well, except for my budgie.
I laid out the structure. I drafted plans. I built a beautiful boat.
It was a beautiful boat.
Then I loaded onto her everything precious that I owned. All my gold and silver. All my kinfolk. All my family. Craftsmen and artisans of all kinds.
Too many temple girls.
All kinds of animals.
Well, except for my budgie.
The time had come. I gazed at the sky.
It was terrifying. At the first glow of dawn, an immense black cloud rose on the horizon and opened the floodgates of heaven. The land was shattered like a clay pot. All day long, ceaselessly, the storm winds blew and the rain fell. And
the flood burst forth, overwhelming the people like war. Even the gods were afraid. The waters rose higher and higher and higher. The gods were cowering by the palace wall like dogs.
But heaven's gates were shut.
For 6 days and
7 nights.
7 nights the storm demolished the earth. On the 7th day, the downpour stopped. The ocean grew calm. No land could be seen.
Just water on all sides.
There was no life at all.
The human race had turned into clay.
I opened a hatch, and the blessed sunlight streamed upon us. We fell to our knees and wept. When I got up and looked around, the coastline appeared.
Half a mile
away. When the waters dried up, I set free the animals I had taken. I slaughtered a sheep on the mountaintop and offered it to the gods. Then the Lord of the Winds arrived, and he was angry.
Well, because the flood was supposed to have destroyed all life. However, when he understood our suffering and saw our beautiful boat, he blessed us and said, Utnapishtim and his wife shall be gods like us, and they shall live forever at the source of the rivers far away.
Then they brought us to this distant place, and here we live.
Here we live.
Look at this fellow. He wanted to live forever. But the very moment he sat down, sleep swirled over him like a fog.
Touch him on the shoulder and wake him. Let him depart and go back safely to his own land.
What happened? Did you touch me? Did a god pass by? What makes my skin creep? What will I do now? Where shall I go now? Death has overtaken me, and wherever I look, wherever I turn, there is only death.
Oh, this poor man has come a very long way and endured great hardships to get here. Shouldn't we give him a little something for the journey home? Oh, just one more chance.
There is a small spiny bush that grows in the waters of the great deep. If you can find this plant and bring it to the surface, then you shall have found the secret of youth.
I dug a pit on the shore that led down into the great deep. I tied 2 heavy stones to my feet. They pulled me down to the water's depths. I found the plant. I grasped it. It tore my fingers. They bled. I cut off the stones. I shot up to the surface, and the waves cast me back gasping onto the shore. Behold, the antidote to the fear of death. With this marvelous plant, I will return to the youth I once had. I will take it home to Uruk.
At 400 miles, he stopped to eat. At 1,000 miles, he pitched his camp. He saw a pond of cool water. He left the plant on the ground and bathed.
A snake smelled the plant's fragrance. Stealthily, it crawled up and carried the plant away. As the snake disappeared, it shed its own skin.
All of my hardships have been for nothing! Was it for this my hands have labored? Was it for this I spilled my heart's blood? I have gained no benefit for myself, but have lost the marvelous plant to a reptile! What am I gonna do now?
Gilgamesh, have you ever paused to compare your own blessed lot with a fool's? You were made of the flesh of both gods and humans. The gods have lavished you with their gifts as though they were your fathers and mothers. From your birth, they assigned you a throne and told you, rule over men. To the fool, they gave beer dregs instead of butter, stale crusts instead of bread that is fit for gods, rags instead of magnificent garments, instead of a wide-fringed belt, an old rope, and a frantic, senseless, dissatisfied mind. You have filled your muscles with pain and anguish. And what have you achieved but to bring yourself one day nearer to the end of your days?
Yes, the gods took Enkidu's life, but man's life is short. At any moment it can be snapped. The handsome young man, the lovely young woman, in their prime, death comes and drags them away. Though no one has seen death's face or heard death's voice, suddenly, savagely, death destroys us. All of us, young or old. And yet, we build houses, we make contracts, brothers divide their inheritance, conflicts occur as though this human life lasted forever. The river rises, flows over its bank, and carries us all away like mayflies, floating downstream. We stare at the sun, and then all at once, there's nothing.
At 400 miles, he stopped to eat. At 1,000 miles, he pitched his camp. At long last, Gilgamesh was home.
Behold, the massive wall of Uruk, which no city on earth can equal. See how its ramparts gleam like copper in the sun. Climb the stone staircase, more ancient than the mind can imagine. Approach the Eanna temple, sacred to Ishtar, a temple no king has equaled in size or beauty. Walk on the wall around the city. Inspect its mighty foundations. Examine the brickwork, how masterfully it is built. Observe the land it encloses. The palm trees,